Hello, everybody, and welcome back once again to Page Chewing Comics and Manga Pick of the Week. This is episode number 43. This is a podcast where we talk about relatively new, hot off the press, single issue comics, if you're into that sort of thing. My name is Mike, and I'm back here once again with Steve, who's we're just having a fun time here. We're doing our thing. You know, we're going to the comic book store. If you're joining us for the very first time, we're two guys who are getting back into comics. We're doing the weekly polls where we go and once a week or every other week, and so we have like a list of ongoing comics that we read, but also we find new ones that interest us. So my question for you, Steve, is how are you doing these days?
I'm doing good. Had a busy week and kind of a light reading week. There wasn't a whole lot that caught my eye this week. I think we both had similar weeks in that way.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. I even feel like I'm like a little bit of a reading slump in general. But I only had 4 comics this week, and part of that was, as I just said in the intro, and there wasn't too many things that caught my eye. I feel like I've missed out on a few series, especially some of the ones that you're even talking about today. Like I wish I had followed along, but I'll get to that in a little bit later. But I think we had a few bright spots, but we'll see.
Yeah. And I cheated a little bit this week because two of my picks were ones that you talked about last week, which is Napalm Lullaby and Ice Cream Man.
Yeah.
So I would think not so hot off the press, maybe warm off the press.
Hot enough.
So we're not steaming hot, but they were warm. They were lukewarm.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of a different week. Not bad, but
I would say as long as it's within the month, it's still new because the next issue invariably comes out a month later. There's a few cases where things come out more frequently. Like I noticed that maybe some of these Ultimate Marvel comics are coming out every few weeks. It seems like, like I just got the new Ultimate Spider-Man number 6. I swear number 5 just came out 2 weeks ago, but generally they come out like once a month. So it's still new.
I swear number 1 just came out like a month ago.
Maybe it seems like those are just being churned out.
Yeah. I think they realized, well, I'm not sure if they were far ahead on schedule and they anticipated it being a pretty quick release schedule, but yeah, I mean, when a book is that popular, I think you'd want it to be consistent.
Yeah.
But so I guess I'll go ahead and kick us off. The first one I had this week is Blood Squad 7, number 1. It's by Image Comics. This is basically a book that is, if you think of a 90s comic book superhero group, kind of like Youngblood or one of the Image titles, the same archetypes, one of those groups from the 90s that got themselves in trouble, that were involved in scandals and corruption, they had to disappear because they were being investigated and things went south, even though they were working with the country to help protect its interests. Things fell apart. It doesn't really specify why, but they got into some shenanigans and they had to hide them away for a while because of the scandals. Well, now the idea is to bring these people back and to kind of set them loose and to reintegrate them into the culture and into government and kind of into just like they're back and they're rehabilitated. They're helping the country. They're doing awesome things. So as you can probably imagine, it's not going to work out that well. And we come to find out that these superheroes were scumbags in the 90s, and they're probably scumbags now, or maybe even worse. So we get a little bit of a taste of that. I think I like the idea. I think that the concept is a neat idea. The problem I had with this one is that some of the dialogue and some of the writing, there's some characters that are middle-aged professionals and they talk like they're teenagers. They use slang. And I would imagine someone like a high-ranking government official wouldn't be using slang terms like that. They wouldn't. At least maybe in a bar or amongst friends, maybe, but in a professional environment, I don't think they'd be using like, certain phrases or words that seemed off. And also, I was a little bit annoyed because there's some dialogue that is so it's like there's certain to point out in the dialogue what the person is that they're speaking with. So they would say like, I know you're the press secretary for the president, or I know that you're the whatever. I mean, it's very purposefully done to tell you who each character is, but it's annoying because it's so overtly done that it's like, okay, I get it. Just add a little description and say the press secretary is talking to this person or whatever. It just didn't seem natural. It didn't seem like what a conversation would sound like. It felt off. But with all that said, it was okay. Like I said, I like the concept. I think it has some potential. I think they're going to go to some dark places with it, it seems like. And we'll see what happens when they let the genie out of the bottle again.
Yeah, sounds like a good premise, but maybe is a little clunky in terms of the execution.
Yeah, so I think it's Joe Casey too. For this, I was so surprised because, it was noticeable. But we'll see how it goes.
Maybe that's clunky is not the right word, but it's this is a really good segue to my first one, which is The Scale Trade. Very interesting title. And this is from Magma Comics. I don't know if I've ever reviewed anything by Magma before. And the author is Steve Orlando with art by Megan Huang. So I got to say, it's kind of similar. It has an interesting premise in that this is, I would say, is kind of an urban fantasy, which posits a world where dragons exist in modern day. And so we just assume that dragons exist. And they're kind of like, I would say they're like endangered species, but there's a twist, which is, I don't mean to laugh, but it was just something that I just really struggling with.
This is going to be good.
So the dragons can breed with any other animal species. So you have the pure dragons, and then you have the elephant dragons and the rhinoceros dragons or whatever. And that I just like, that's something about that just is like, I'm a huge fan of very imaginative, like fantastical stuff, but it just somehow doesn't fit very well. So another twist as well is that this is kind of a, I would say it's a cross genre, because it's really like a kind of a detective story, and there's kind of two like Dragon FBI or like Dragon X-Files agents who are trying to solve dragon-related crimes. So I think I've summarized, some of the main points here. It's not really for kids, although there is one really cute baby dragon, I have to admit. And I'm a sucker for this kind of stuff. I just read not too long ago. I read Fire and Blood by George R. Martin, and I know the second season of House of the Dragon is coming out, and I really like that kind of stuff. But there's just a few things that are a little bit off here, and the artwork, it was a little bit disappointing in some cases. It just, I don't know what it is. There's a few moments where it looks really nice, and then when you kind of zoom in on the characters, these two kind of secret agents, something about the lines or I don't know what it is about the drawing of the humans that doesn't work for me very well. But generally, I don't know if this one is working for me. I'm going to keep thinking about it. Maybe I'll look at the next one and see if I want to continue. But I have a soft spot for like conservation, and that's something that I was actually interested in, is like protection of endangered species or whatever. Anyway, but this is just, I have to maybe keep thinking about it if I want to continue or not.
Looking at the art and at the cover and kind of the premise, it sounds like a YA. It sounds like a YA title, but it's not.
I don't think it is, and it doesn't say on the. I thought it might be, but it doesn't say on the back. There's a lot of it. It's a good point. I wonder what would make it YA. There's a lot of violence in here. There isn't any. I guess there's no sex. There's no language. So maybe it is YA, but that doesn't. I don't even know if that's YA is new to me still. But it doesn't say anything on the back like mature audience or teen plus or whatever. But I'm paging through here, and I don't see anything like that. So maybe that is the problem.
It's interesting.
The writer has done a lot of different. He's written a lot for DC, Batman, Wonder Woman. I wouldn't say the writing is terrible. But it's just some interesting ideas here.
So I'm guessing that there'll be human dragons too, because a dragon and a human will eventually.
I guess. I don't know. They don't seem to exist yet, but there's like on page 2 or 3, there's a dragon whale. I'm just like, okay. Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. Oh, I can see some dark places that story can go. But
yeah, good. Definitely.
Yeah. So the next one for me is Napalm Lullaby 3. It's Mike. This is one you talked about last week, and it was okay. I think we find out a lot about the world, which is a little strange because the first issue was almost nothing, and then we learned a little bit in issue 2, and then issue 3 comparatively felt like an info dump, like a lot of information. Learned a lot about what's going on and kind of the world and the systems in place, and a pretty big surprise at the end. I was not expecting that to happen at the end, and there's an introduction of a character that I think could take this book in a very interesting direction. We talked a little bit about this before we started to record, but I thought some of the commentary on religion and faith, I think, was a little bit on the nose. When there's a few phrases that were very obviously this is what we're talking about. So I don't have a problem with that. I like we talked about. I like exploring those themes and kind of dissecting those things and see what makes us tick. But it's Rick Remender, so I remain faithful that this will all make sense and come together. But yeah, I think great start. I think issue 3 was a little bit weird for me, but yeah, I think I'm on board with this one because of Remender.
I think it might have been my pick of the week last time.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, I don't remember as much as I would like, but I noticed that I keep track of but maybe it was a soft pick of the week for me.
Yeah, but I'm excited to see where it goes. I think the events of the last few pages will take it a different direction. It felt like a change.
Yeah.
It felt like this book will change pretty drastically after this one. Kind of like what the Sacrificers has done in the last couple episodes or issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely setting us up for something.
Mm.
Okay, so back to the world of Ultimate stuff. I've got Ultimate Black Panther #4. And wow, this one went by in a blur. I read through this, and I swear a few minutes went by and I was done reading it. I won't comment on that again, because there are quite a few pages dedicated to ads. Well, I did mention it once again. But I don't really feel like the story was moved forward very much here at all. So I'm going to stick with the series. There's just a few moments where I was like, where did this come from? I'm not going to say a complete WTF moment, but, there is some consistency, I think, with the story. And it's just, I'm just like, I guess one character that we met in, I think, is the first issue, who we thought was going to help T'Challa and kind of help his cause, is turned against him. So that was just about all that really happened here. But at the very end of this one, the two real main bad guys are the Moon Knight, the split of the Moon Knight, Ra and Khonshu. Looks like they're gearing up for a pretty big attack on Wakanda. So we'll see what happens in the next episode. I don't think that's the right word. Not episode. What do we say? What do we say? Issue. Thank you.
Yeah, I always say episode too. I do the same thing.
Yeah, we understood what it meant. So
yeah, and it's funny, for the podcast, I always say issue number instead of episode number. So
yeah, it's okay.
I can't get it. So you can't get it straight. Was there as many ads in this one as last time?
Well, there was 11 pages worth. Yeah, so that's like about a third. Wow. Like a couple. Yeah, I realize that this makes me sound like I'm complaining, but it's just you could very easily finish this in like 5 minutes.
Oh wow!
And that just seems too short. I don't know. Doesn't seem like you're getting your money's worth.
Yeesh. Yeah.
But I have to admit, I liked Marvel when I was younger. A lot of the stuff I liked was Iron Man, Spider-Man. I liked a little bit of DC. So I was like, maybe I'm going back to my roots a little bit. But anyway.
No, I was huge on Marvel. I didn't read a whole lot of DC when I was young. I read a lot of X-Men, a lot of the Claremont X-Men, a lot of the Wolverine stuff, Punisher, early Punisher. So yeah, I think I was huge in Marvel, and then now I'm the opposite. So yeah.
It looks like they're doing. I think they're trying. I feel like there's some good stuff happening. There's an X-Men series that I think we missed, you and I, but it's like in the future X-Men, I believe. No, it's Avengers. Sorry. Avengers series, and I forget the exact title, but I think it sounds really good, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And hopefully they'll take chances.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one for me was When the Blood Has Dried #2. This is the second issue. This was only a couple of weeks ago that I read the first one. So in a nutshell, it's about a woman in this fantasy world who is in a village in a tavern, and her past catches up to her. We start learning more about she was left for dead. And we start learning that the story behind that. This guild that she was in left her for dead. She ended up in this tavern in this remote village, kind of started a new life for herself. And now the guild has come to town wanting to create to make it an outpost for the guild. There's some very questionable decisions that were made by Mabe, our main character. After hiding out for so long, the choices that she makes have me scratching my head like why would you do that after all this time? But I'm guessing it's for a reason. We learn a little bit more about her backstory, about what happened to her, about her being left for dead, and a little bit about the guild and about the person who tried to kill her. So it's okay. I'm not blown away with it, but there's some potential. The artwork's fine. Yeah, it's hopefully it'll. I'm just not quite sure. There doesn't seem like a ton of story to play with. It just this character and may have been her being left for dead. I'm not sure where this is all going to go. If it's going to expand in scope, because right now it feels very small. So we'll see kind of where it goes.
Yeah, I just checked it out online, and when you said it sounded like a kind of a high fantasy series, and the titles almost doesn't seem fitting from what I could see, but I might have passed it over. So many titles have the word blood in it. I don't know if you noticed it. We have at least 2 today.
Yeah, we do. Well, yeah, well, I do.
So, well, there's a few series that I'm covering too that are like that have that word in it. So anyway,
there's another one that I passed up as Bloodshot. It was a relaunch or a new series of Bloodshot. I can never get into that character. So there's another one.
Is he from Valiant?
Yeah.
So okay, and I know they're kind of maybe gearing up for reboot or whatever. Some characters.
Yeah, I hope it works out for them. Maybe we'll check them out. Yeah, so we'll see.
All right. So this is a series I've been covering for some time, and the artwork is pushing me through. This is Guma with 2 A's, issue number 6. So yeah, I mean I just want to comment once again. I think the artwork is phenomenal. But the story it has moments where I'm just like, I think they need some, maybe they could benefit from some punch up, if you will. I don't know. It's fine. I think it's what's happening basically is, we have these kind of 2 female characters, and one of them who we thought at the beginning might have been somebody we were going to like or follow. Her name is Khalida. She's kind of become this evil, queen of the dark, or a lord of the dark, if you will. And she's kind of has control of this special weapon or dagger. And the protagonist is essentially trying to find this other weapon that can stop her. So it's that's basically the main premise now. And then there's some kind of creepy characters that are called I guess they're exorcists that are sent by Khalida to stop everybody. And there's last issue we were introduced to a new character who was kind of like a treasure hunter. So that's, we know that from like Indiana Jones and stuff like that. And it's interesting. It's interesting. There's a big exposition dump here. And that's where I was like, it was like, well, essentially the exposition dump is telling us about the war between good and evil. And it's not very imaginative for me, but I have to say, it's not bad. It's just, the story is okay. And the artwork is just, I really like it. And one of the things that I noticed is when you zoom in on, the different characters, you can actually see the pencil work, and it's done in a way that's, I don't know, really works for me. And so it adds some grittiness. And then yet the background is much more smooth and polished. And so it's a nice contrast. And I've just really appreciated I've just appreciated the art, the artistry.
Beautiful book. I keep
Yeah.
I keep meaning to pick it up, and I keep forgetting. But
yeah,
beautiful book.
I mean that it's one of out of all the comics I'm reading, I think it's just one of the more stylish ones.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really putting a lot of effort, but it's not as well balanced out by the story, in my opinion.
That's unfortunate. All right, so the next one for me, before we get into our picks, which are I think soft picks, not like not picks with conviction. Mm-hmm. The next one is Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, number 6. This final issue in the series, I've loved the series. It's been a lot of fun. This bear, this stuffed animal that lives in this, they look like stuffed animals, like a children's tale. The artwork has that kind of muted color, almost like crayon look, kind of like children's book feel to it. And it's about a serial killer who goes around to neighboring towns and brutally kills innocent people for fun. And when someone comes to her town and starts killing people in her own town, there can only be room for one serial killer in the town. And she tries to find out who's doing it, to stop them, because she doesn't want all the attention, because she wants to operate anonymously and doesn't want any extra attention that she, doesn't generate on her own. Things obviously go a little bit bad. And this issue, we do learn, she knows who the other killer is. She, the things that happen, it's tough to finish a story, especially a story like this. This end was okay. I'm a little bit bummed out by it. Maybe because I expected a darker ending, or like the darkest ending possible to the story. I like the tone throughout was very dark, and I just always expected things to go terribly wrong. But in saying that, if we get another series, and I'm perfectly fine with this ending, give me more of the story, more of this character, and more background of them and the town. And so I don't know. It was okay. I'm not over the moon about it, but it was okay. Overall, I'd say the series is great. All 6 issues are great. Issue 5 was really good too, but the end, a little bit iffy.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a bummer. But the big question is, would you recommend the trade paperback?
I would, if you're into things like Dexter, early Dexter, not past like season 3 of Dexter, before it went off the rails. If you enjoy those, like, the contrast between the children's tale and the serial killer, all that was very creative and just fun. Yeah. It felt wrong. I think part of it felt like you shouldn't be reading it, because it does feel like a children's book, and then there's a serial killer, like, and it's not shot with the violence. So I think that's part of it. It seemed a little, I shouldn't be reading this. So, but overall, yeah, I think if the premise at all sounds interesting, I think it's worth checking out for sure.
Great. So you made me think about how many issues I have left of The Holy Roller, which is my pick of the week. I believe there are going to be 9, and this is number 6. So I think for me, if I recall correctly, I wasn't as excited or over the moon about number 5, because it kind of took an interesting turn. There's some elements of that here, and I guess I can say part of it is there's like an evil app, which we know from Crave, which is a completed. I believe that series is completed. If they don't continue it, but that in Crave, that was done very differently, and here it's introduced as just kind of like this menacing thing, So it's fine. I don't think that's the strength of this book. So the strength of this book is the humor, and that's definitely not going to work with everybody. And really good, consistent artwork. And so there were several times where I laughed. I love the the main character is Levi. He really shouldn't be doing what he does. He's like I guess he pretends to be like some kind of superhero. He has no powers. He has no clue, really. I mean, he's athletic, but he beats up bad guys with bowling balls, and he almost always gets himself beat to hell. So, like, in this entire issue, his face is all beat up and bloody, and I think he has a few teeth missing now. So it's just like I don't know if that's an anti-hero or what, but it's not your typical superhero at all. So I like that. And then these other kind of sidekick characters are very funny. One is his father, he's an older guy. In one scene, he's wearing his underwear, like, and then anyway. So there's just some good funny writing here that I appreciate. Once in a while, I think it's had a few misses, but this one is back up there. And I was just, like I said, I laughed out loud. It's on my pull list. I'm gonna stick with it. And there's one character I have to say he was beat up badly, and he can only say one word, which is he can only say pudding. So everything that the one character said is pudding, and I don't know, for me, it's kind of like Hodor, I guess. But I don't know. It's tickling the funny bone, I guess. So maybe
nice.
I needed that, I guess.
Huh. Nice. This is one of the ones that you started on the podcast, right? I think you started with.
Yeah. I think it was one of the first ones I covered, and I liked it. But I didn't. I was like, where is this going? And it's still giving me that vibe a little bit, but now I'm accepting that it's just silly. Yeah. It's doing things that you're like, well, this guy, he's standing up for himself, but in almost every issue, I feel like, oh, he's going to be killed because he's just, anyway.
I'm going to have to catch up with that one and catch up with you.
Yeah, this is Rick Remender again with Andy Samberg from Saturday Night Live fame and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So,
let's check it out. So my pick this week, kind of I don't know if I can say soft pick. It's a different kind of book. And now I know, Mike, why you were kind of trying to describe it last week. Like you were trying to kind of like how to explain what happens in this issue. It's basically a car accident that happens over 5 seconds, and it goes on for 28 pages. It's sure to mention that. I just love W. Maxwell Prince. I think he does some great work, and it's able to draw out a lot of emotion, and it goes through the family. There's a family that's in a car accident, and in a nutshell, I'm not really spoiling anything. It goes into their lives flash before their eyes, and also what could have been flashes before their eyes if they hadn't experienced it yet. And just it's able to draw out a lot of emotion and to kind of think of how in an instant our lives can change or our lives can end in an instant, and it could all be over. So there's lots of life, we go back in time and see how the parents met, their past relationships. It all kind of fits together in this really, really well delivered package. And it takes something like a 5-second car crash, and it details all the different things that's happening during the crash to these people, and also what's going on in their minds. And it manages to just really, really work. I mean, I think it's really great to to stretch it out into to have it in slow motion is almost like a scene from Inception. The slow motion scenes that take forever to get through. It kind of reminded me of that, like just every little frame that we witness of this accident and what's going on in their minds. And so, yeah, I think all of it really worked. And I'm glad I picked it up. I've been hesitant to pick up Ice Cream Man because I thought there was not like a linear story, but like you mentioned, it's like an anthology. So yeah.
And I'm even reading the Image website, and it says this is a 2-parter, but it does not even require reading the first part to read the second part. So,
oh wow,
yeah, it's something else. I still am thinking about it. It's stuck with me. So that's like I think he's made a really good point by saying it really touches on your emotions, and I did feel something for these characters, and I saw myself in, I think, the father character a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's what's great about these kind of stories, that you can see yourself into these different characters and relate to it in some way. So that's what makes it relatable and more touching. You can see yourself in them.
Yeah, definitely. And I did cover the previous issue, and I'm thinking about going backwards in time and trying to cover more. I did read number 38, and it was totally different. So that was like about this guy that cloned himself or whatever. And, so this one is, he's just coming up with all these different ideas on a monthly basis. It's very impressive.
Yeah, and to have this and Swan Songs at the same time, it's kind of wild. He's able to do all that, and to have so many interesting and emotionally charged stories so often.
Yeah.
But cool. So that was issue 43 or episode 43 of Pick of the Week. So thanks for listening again, and yeah, we're having a good time and just talking comics. If you'd like to talk with us, you can click the link below. There's an ability to send us a message, or you can come to the forums at pagestream.com. Click the link to the forum, join the forum if you're not there already, and come in and chat with us. We have some other reads coming up that we're pretty excited about. So, or if you want to come and give us suggestions or feedback, come and say hello, or you can also DM us privately as well if you're not wanting to do it publicly. So, but yeah, thanks for listening, everyone, and hope everyone's having a great week, and we will talk to everyone very soon.
Bye-bye.